Hi, everyone. It's Lindsey Baker with the Action Hour. I'm here for you every Saturday, and today I have two amazing women with me. I have Carolyn Press-Mckenzie, who is the founder of Huha, helping you help animals, which it's going to take the whole hour, and I'm still not going to be able to explain how much they do. As well as I have a wonderful content creator for vegan FTA, vegan for the animals, and that is Jackie Norman. Let me introduce you to both of these ladies right now. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Thank you for being here, Carolyn. There's so much we want to talk about today about your sanctuary and rescue. The first thing, though, I'd like to do is jump right in, because the way I met you was thankfully through Jackie, who alerted Jane Velez Mitchell and our team about what the wonderful work you do, but especially the rescue of 190 cows. I want to show just a quick little clip.
Oh, no. Go kill him, Ma.
These cows look very happy, and I understand, and from footage I've seen, that was not the case when you got them. Do you want to, without naming any names of any individuals, we want to just kind of generally tell people what happened? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So we were then there was an animal sanctuary, and they'd been rescuing cows for about 3 years, taking on animals that perhaps they were worried about their futures. Unfortunately, though, the person who ran the sanctuary was quite young and inexperienced, and ended up taking on more than she could handle, and ultimately didn't probably mean to, but ended up actually putting these animals in a worse position. So they ended up emaciated, they hadn't been desexed, there were so many issues, not vaccinated, not tested for bovis or TB. So these animals were in quite a sorry state when we stepped in to help. It's been a bit of a big one.
Now, when something like that happens, how do you go into action? What do you do? That's, from what I understand, 190 cows is the size of a dairy farm. So that's a dairy farm you just rescued. How would you go into action to do something like that? Can you talk about that for a moment?
I guess that's the biggest tool we have in our toolkit, is that we're really good at just working out, okay, here's the situation. We look at every situation differently, and we just leap into action. I have an amazing team who are incredibly passionate. We're all incredibly skilled working with animals. We're good at, we travel. So for this particular rescue, we've traveled for 4 months now to work with these animals. The trickiest thing in this rescue is that, of course, every cow we rescued needed to go on to a pet-only home where it wouldn't be eaten, wouldn't be bred, wouldn't be fattened up for sale, wouldn't be milked. So for us, it was really important that it wasn't just about the rescue and the rehab, it was about giving them the right future as well. And that was a big job.
Yes, getting them all placed, because that is actually what your philosophy is. Would you explain how you started the organization and what it is that, your philosophy and mission behind it?
I think we started just caring about animals, just wanting to help where we could, trying to pitch in, seeing a lot of situations where people were at a loss, and we're really good at thinking through solutions. So it just started seeing animals in the wrong environment, and those animals were deemed inappropriate and often in the line of fire for euthanasia. So we'd step in and we'd find that animal a new home with a more appropriate environment, and the animal would thrive. So it started maybe with a cat urinating inappropriately, or a dog that barked too much. We had great successes, and then we grew. And so we started predominantly as a farm animal sanctuary, because we saw there was a real gap for that. But now we've grown into helping every animal we can, right from mice, from laboratories, through to monkeys, from circuses. If the animal needs help, our philosophy is every animal matters, and we always say we can and we will, and we just do whatever it takes to find that red
So
outcome.
Jackie, I'm sorry, Carolyn, you are cutting out a little bit, but I just want to make sure the audience understood what you said, and that you started off just doing animals that were, in your area, that were strays, but it branched out to not only farm animals, domestic animals, but also wildlife. And I do want to show how you just were involved and away from your home for many, many months doing a rescue in Australia during the fires. And I have footage, so let's watch that.
A week after fires swept through this bush in New South Wales, it's flooding. The lives of kangaroos and wallabies are again under threat.
Hey, here I come. Do you want to put this towel over? Here we go. Oops, didn't mean to get you. Here we go. Good stuff.
Australian Peter Day runs a wildlife sanctuary 200 kilometres south of Canberra. Carolyn Press-Mckenzie is leading a team of New Zealand volunteers who've come to his aid.
Do you want me to cover it over?
Oh, it should be okay.
Okay.
She doesn't kick hard.
What a good girl. This is Susie. She's quite sort of moderate burns to her hind legs. So she's been hand raised by Pete and very special to him. After the fires, he was amazing and managed to get some bandaging on and a bit of pain relief into her. We got the call that he needed help. So we've whizzed in, set up this triage in his house extension, which is perfect because it's got great light. And then we're using the Vet Without Border vets to come through and help us.
Carolyn trained as a vet nurse before founding an organisation called Huha, Helping You Help Animals, that rescues and rehomes creatures in trouble. Back in New Zealand, they specialise in helping those on farms. But on this mission, they're here to help wherever they can.
I think what we've managed to do as Kiwis is come into a country that's got so overwhelmed, there's so much going on, and we're managing to get in behind the scenes to those areas that are perhaps being missed where the support isn't there.
The fires injured or killed many of Peter's animals, but he says it wasn't Australian wildlife organisations that came to his aid, but Huha from New Zealand.
Wow, so that's very telling. It wasn't any organizations in Australia, it was an organization from New Zealand, and that was your organization. You seem to have a wonderful formula that works, and you have four facilities at this point and the clinic, is that correct?
Right, yeah.
Jackie, I wanted to bring you in on the conversation because you're the wonderful lady that introduced us to Carolyn. So how did you come to know Carolyn? And I know you did a wonderful article about her, and I'd love to show your Facebook page in a moment, Facebook group page, I believe it is, in a moment, but to show your work. But how did you come to know Carolyn, and tell us a little bit about your experience with Huha?
Well, Carolyn's a bit of a legend here in New Zealand, which is why I really wanted to get her on the show today, because we know in New Zealand just how amazing Carolyn and Huha is and her work, everything that she's done. You know, everybody knows in New Zealand that if you're in trouble, if you need help with animals, you go to Huha because, like you say, they've got the formula, they've got the training, they've got the team, they've got the experience. I mean, it's just incredible the work that they do. So I really wanted to get that out to the world, not just New Zealand. So I met Carolyn through our work through Vegan FTA, which is a nonprofit organization, which is all about, I guess you could say, you know, we're a little like you on this show. We try and put other people in the spotlight and show what amazing work is being done all around the world. And so really wanted to get Carolyn on our we were making a series at the time, my husband and I, who we were traveling around New Zealand full time, and we really wanted to meet Carolyn and see Huha for ourselves. So we went and we spent a day at the sanctuary, which was just, as you say, I wrote an article about it. It was just a wonderful, wonderful day, very, very special place. And yeah, we've kept in touch ever since because we just love to talk about Carolyn and her work and just try and support her in everything that she does.
Absolutely. What did you coined a phrase? You said it was a little piece of heaven in your article. It was so nice what you said. It was so perfect. After I watched the videos, I went, she nailed it. That's what it is. You know, it's like when you're a child and you dream of what farms are like, but we wake up to the reality of what they are. But this is what a farm should be like. I'd love to show a video about that. But what do you, I comment first and then I'll show a video. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I actually come from a dairy farming background. I spent 18 years working on dairy farms around New Zealand before I went vegan and ultimately became an activist. So that's a whole other story in itself. But
Congrats to you. That's an amazing feat. Thank you so much.
Oh, you know, it's been a bit of a journey, and that's how I sort of came to be doing what I'm doing now, which is wonderful. But you're so right. You know, I've been on that dairy farm where it's not the dream, and now, you know, walking in onto Carolyn's place and spending a day at the Huha Sanctuary, it was fantastic. It was absolute chaos. It was raining, it was muddy, and there we were surrounded. I had a little wee pony. There were dogs. There was Budgie, a 2-legged dog, which, you know, she is just wonderful. We had little baby goats skipping around.
You know, we met some footage so we can show them what we're talking about.
This land at Kaitoke near Wellington is dedicated to animals that the animal welfare organisation Huha has yet to find homes for or wants to keep. Jane Unchained is doing the daily rounds.
Well done, Wally. My role is the farm animal feed in the morning. So it's chickens, pigs, cows. It's quite a big, long task every morning, but it's fun to do. Do you want some brekkie, buddy? I've got it down to a fine art, so I can get it done in about 45 minutes. That's if everything's ready to go and everyone's where they should be, and I do a head count to make sure everyone's happy. And then in the evening, there's probably another half hour, 45 minutes again. Have you got enough, mate? Here you go. Good boy. Yeah, big pile for you. I get a lot of satisfaction out of how happy they all are and how much they enjoy life. And we've given them years of happiness. Dudley's a 3-year-old Scottish Highland. He came from a Highland farm. We also have some goats and some emus and some ducks and some geese, all cohabitating quite nicely in here. Do you want me to feed it to you? You're just going to help yourself. Doesn't like pigs.
Carolyn's back from her mission to Australia and grateful to her husband Jim for all that he does.
How's your day, Carolyn?
Very good, thank you for asking.
He's what makes this place work, and he's what keeps these animals safe. So, yeah, he's pretty special and important to us here.
Jim is Carolyn's second husband, and she says it does take a certain type of man to love animals as much as she does, and to have some of them share space in their house.
Oh, that is just so incredible. So, Carolyn, he can actually feed all of them on his own in 40 minutes. Is that right? That's an amazing feat.
He's pretty good. So that's just one of our shelters. We have 3 others in the vet clinic. So we have amazing people like Jim dotted around, you know, the Greater Wellington area doing what they can for animals. So it's an amazing team.
And the reason that you were away, you were actually taking care or helping with the fires. I want to show a couple more clips of that. So let's do that now to finish off on that part of what you do.
I came with vets and started treating the animals. Very thankful to those guys. They're the only ones that helped.
Peter and his wife Mimi only just escaped the fire. They'd gathered up these joeys as the flames were threatening their land and house.
And as soon as we were driving out, my wife looked back and she said she could see flames high up in the trees coming through the forest. The whole street was on fire, so we got out just in the nick of time. I reckon you got a 2-3 week window to rescue these creatures and then treat them, otherwise infection sets in.
Huha volunteers are building desperately needed shelter. Among them David Clements from Nelson, who's helped save animals from fires before.
last year we had some fairly big fires in Nelson, from there and gave them a hand. So I really enjoy that side of things. I love physical work and I like to take care of animals.
Officially, we're really excited about the rain because the country's on fire. But the animals that we're treating, suddenly there's more risk of hypothermia, bandages getting wet.
Oh, I could sleep in there. I'd be happy with that. There you go, beautiful. She would have died. She would have come to the wounds and died without a doubt. So she was in a bad way when we found her on Monday. Without Huha, she wouldn't be here, and none of them would be here. Hey, you happy? You happy?
He's lost so much. He's lost everything, and yet, you know, to see him smile and to see an animal have that chance at life, it means everything.
That made me cry when I saw that. I just was that kangaroo part of his, you know, group that he had, or was that one he rescued, or you guys rescued?
He raised. So when we arrived, they had all been burnt quite dead, and he just couldn't find any help. So that was actually, we went to 5 different sanctuaries, and we actually built 3 veterinary triages as we went along, and we also helped rebuild a few sanctuaries as well. And in the end, we set up a huge big rehab centre too. So our philosophy is to go in and help, but to help by building something that then the locals can take over and continue on to work with. So we try and set up systems, and we also try and give them motivation to see how much they can do for themselves with the right tools.
Right. I think that's amazing. And I think this could be a model for everywhere. You know, I mean, there are so many sanctuaries, they all work independently. I've, you know, interviewed so many over the time I've been doing this. It would be wonderful if there was a network. And I think your model is a great place to start from. Maybe that's something that will come in the future, hopefully. What do you think, Jackie? You want to add anything?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great idea, and that's the whole thing with Carolyn, with Huha. You know, it's helping you help animals. So many sanctuaries, they can't take in every single animal, and that is how they get so stressed and in trouble, because, you know, they're guilted into a lot of things as well. You know, if you don't take this animal, then I'm going to put it down or send it to slaughter or whatever, you know. And having this network where sanctuaries can help one another and say, well, I can't take this cow or this donkey or whatever, but, you know, somebody else that can, that would really help relieve the stress on a lot of sanctuaries, I think, and keep people running. And that's why Carolyn's work is so incredibly valuable, because she gives people and other sanctuaries those tools to really be able to keep going and get themselves out of these situations.
Right. It seems like sanctuaries do need to have their own clinics. So the concept of having clinics, maybe in not just for one sanctuary, but their clinics just for sanctuaries. Is any of that going on, Carolyn, that you know of in anywhere with your huge network, where they actually have clinics that work with the sanctuaries exclusively?
Well, we've definitely done it for us. I actually don't know if it's done. I mean, it's quite a financial, it swings and roundabouts. So it's a lot to hold on to, a clinic, to have all the equipment, to have the staff to run it. But then without the clinic, you're paying quite exorbitant prices going through private practice. So it's been a real learning curve for us. We bought a clinic, quite a little sort of shabby clinic, that was also assisting the community with regular veterinary care. And just this week, actually, we've decided to sell that, because we've had it for 3 years and it's provided an amazing service, but it's actually grown so big now, we can't get appointments. There's no point having it if we can't get appointments there. So we're building a new purpose-built animal sanctuary on our new piece of, we bought 157 acres, and we want to develop an amazing centre for New Zealand where people can learn and love, animals can be rehabilitated, something really special. So we're building a new veterinary clinic up there just for homeless animals that don't have anyone there to back them nobody's vouching for them. And so they're the animals that we will take in and we'll do everything we can for. And meanwhile, the clinic we're selling will go on and be a normal clinic to the community.
Yes. We have a little clip here from one of the, I don't know if this is the clinic that you're talking about. Let's go.
And when dogs need veterinary treatment, Huha has its own clinic in Lower Hutt, which it opened 3 years ago.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? This is Moki. This is Moki.
Hi, Moki, sweetheart. How are you?
Moki is one of dozens of farm dogs that Huha looks after or finds homes for.
Because he was earmarked to be a good farm dog, but he was deaf.
No coughing.
No.
Sarah Barry is from Ireland and wanted to work for an organisation just like Huha.
To be honest, I hadn't heard of Huha before I came to New Zealand. So I kind of stumbled upon this job, but then I was told it was a charity clinic, and that's something I always wanted to try, you know, because I knew it would be different to normal veterinary work. They didn't have the privilege of proper veterinary care and proper love and attention, whereas in a charity position you can give them that care and that attention and that love.
Oh, good boy, Moki. You did so well. Yes, you did. Oh, thank you so much for my kisses. You're a good boy. Yes, you are.
Before we got the vet clinic, we were putting a lot of pressure on other clinics to fit us in constantly. We still run this clinic at pretty much a loss, but the service it provides us is just hugely valuable.
After 20 years of rescuing domestic, farm and wild animals, Huha is rising to new challenges, as it showed in Australia.
So there's the clinic. And, you know, we were just speaking about that model. I also have a picture, one of your areas you're developing. Let's look at that right now.
The Hutt Valley in Wellington is the future for Huha. The 63 hectares on Haywards Hill will be home to a new multi-purpose animal shelter, which will be open to the public.
We've been developing the land so we can bring our horse rescue here. Also our farm animals can come here as well and have safe refuge.
Among the first residents are these ponies, rescued from a property in Southland.
Perfect. They were a little feral herd, and they weren't particularly interested in people, and they weren't in great condition, but they're doing really well. And this hill is a little like them. It's a work in progress, but it's perfect because the ponies, obviously, you don't want to give them lush grass. They do really well on this rough ground.
The shelter will be managed by Huha staff member Crystal Roloff.
Could you get a bed office with the view? And I think it's going to be fantastic just to have a hub here in the Hutt Valley for everyone to come and enjoy what we do.
These are the drawings of the dog shelter part of the land. So up top here is all going to be farm animals, farmland. So it'll be a reception area and then an area where dogs can play. We're going to have a cattery that's going to be down sort of over this way.
A substantial donation from a supporter allowed Huha to buy the land, and Carolyn is hoping public donations will help pay to develop it.
Just want to get there and get amongst it, and that's always what we've done.
Absolutely, mate.
That went into a little bit different part. We want to stay on the subject. So people just tuning in, we are live with Carolyn Press-Mckenzie of Huha and Jackie Norman of Vegan FTA for the Animals. And ladies, I just right now want to show where people can make a donation. So let's go over to your website here and show your website. So if someone wants to make a donation, they simply will go to your website and there's a button, I think down here on the left where they can click. And there are several ways that they can make a donation. Is that correct, Carolyn? There's different ways they can contribute, I should say. So you want to just address that? I think I have a screen on that too.
So it's all there on the website. For America, I'm not sure we've got a bank account number, we've got PayPal, there's Give a Little, I'm not sure if that stretches overseas. For New Zealand, we have a text donation. A lot of people choose to donate $3 through our text donation. And boy, it adds up. It really does. And that's what keeps us going. It's amazing. So we're very, very grateful for anything that people can do to help. And if they want to sponsor an animal, so if they see an animal they have a particular affinity with, then absolutely we can send stories and help them be engaged with the animal's journey.
So you're saying that they can sponsor the animal and they get, what do they get, like a certificate or something? Or do they get some?
You get a letter of thanks and a little certificate, and you get updates on that animal too.
Oh, updates. Yes. Okay. Still having a little trouble hearing. I'm going to jump back to Jackie for a moment. We're going to get back to a lot more of what you do at your organization, but I did want to jump back to Jackie for a moment here. And I have a little video clip, I believe. Yes, of your face. There you go. Well, I thought that was a quick way to show. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we were seeing there.
Yeah, so we're a positive activism hub. You know, the idea is when we started really sort of ramping up what we do, you know, we'd always sort of put activists in the spotlight and also sanctuaries and just anyone that was, you know, doing positive things in the vegan movement. And then when lockdown happened, my husband and I, as I mentioned, we've been traveling around New Zealand. That was how we met Carolyn. And we were making series such as Eat the Change, which was showcasing, you know, change makers and food innovators in New Zealand. Then we had another one called Sanctuary, which is how we met Carolyn. And we were traveling around, you know, from sanctuary to sanctuary, interviewing people. And then with lockdown, you know, we saw a lot of activists that were struggling. They didn't have that support, that communication. They felt like they couldn't be active in the movement because they couldn't get to their protests, their vigils, their cubes of truth. And Vegan FTA, there's a tiny team of 3 of us, and I've got a chronic illness, and our founder also has health issues as well. And so we knew, that was why I began as a writer for Vegan FTA. We knew that to be active in the movement, you don't have to go and chain yourself to buildings and do all that stuff that people think vegan activists do. You know, we were used to doing things in many different ways. And so we started a series called Activist, which showcases the very many forms of activism and how you can be more active in the movement, even when you can't leave the house. You know, there's business activism, there's hospitality activism, there is creative activism, and, you know, you've got your general activism, what people also associate with being an activist as well. But we're all about showcasing that. And, you know, being vegan is one thing, but we feel that, you know, to be a vegan activist, we all really need to be more active in the movement. We're growing at a wonderful rate, and there are some fantastic things happening. But I think if you have the information that so many of us have as vegans, and then you don't do anything about that, it's kind of like a backward step, you know. So we're just showing everyone, look, you don't have to be aggressive. You can be an activist and be very, very positive. And, you know, that's what we're doing. Hopefully we're getting things out there.
Yes, and I think that's amazing that you're doing that work. We actually are doing the same thing. And we started doing these shows, more of these shows on Zoom or StreamYard because of the exact same thing. I do respect, and I know you do, activists that are out there with the signs, and I've been there myself. I'm sure you guys have. Absolutely. But I think the point that we're making here is that you don't have to stop. There's digital activism, as you were mentioning, and many organizations are doing very effective work and needing people that are watching this show to go on those sites. It's so easy. You just sign up your name and you can go ahead and do a lot from your desktop. So that's really important as well. And again, we want to ask everyone watching to please share out this video so that people can learn about these two wonderful organizations. Carolyn, I want to go back and keep going. I thought it might be fun to show some pictures and you can just talk about them. And I know one thing particular that Jackie had promoted in her article, that she did a wonderful article, by the way, people can read that on your site over there on Facebook, right? They can go to the link there. And we'll put that link, by the way, folks, we will be putting links up in the comments. We don't do it beforehand because we get more views if we do it afterwards. We'll be putting links to all of the information we're providing here will be in the comment area for you. But I do want to show this book that you wrote, and this is a way people can help also by promoting, by purchasing it. Do you want to just talk about that for a moment, Carolyn?
Well, I wrote it 5 years ago before I went grey. But it's about my journey. So it's my book of mistakes and wonderful moments, funny moments, sad moments. A really honest account of how I became vegan. And how I started saving animals in my journey and the frustrations, just everything and all the wonderful things. Jim, there's a bit about Jim in there. He becomes a bit of a love interest in the book. But the whole thing, it was really cathartic for me because it's been an incredibly huge journey, and it's been quite an unusual one too. And I feel it's not been a normal journey either. So to share that and show people what's possible was really important, and it felt good to be able to share it.
That's such a fantastic book.
There's some photos here too. I want to share some of the people that live on your sanctuary. Budgie is one. Now he doesn't have any back legs, I understand. Or he's had no use of them.
So she's a little girl, and she was born with deformed little stumpy back legs. She actually came from a farm dog rescue we did. We rescued 150 dogs from one farm. It took us a while to do it. We did it slowly over a couple of years, actually. None of them were desexed. They weren't socialized. The farmer was breeding them to sell, but he was getting old and he wasn't actually training them. So they were just being locked in sheds. And then because they weren't desexed, siblings were mating, and then their puppies were coming out with deformities, heart disease, more conditions, genetic problems, autoimmune disease, horrible things, deafness, blindness. So we took these animals, and the reason it took so long is it took us a while for us to get him to give us dogs. So we sort of took them batch by batch until we finally cleared him out. And now he's elderly, and he's hopefully not doing this anymore. But there was no law, no legal process to stop him. What he did was completely legal in New Zealand, which is heartbreaking.
That's so much the case. So many places in the world, it's hard to believe that animals have no rights. Now this is your resident babysitter, I understand, Reg.
Oh, Reg. So Reg he passed away during COVID.
Oh my goodness, how sad.
But boy, he left his mark. So he was a chained dog. We see a lot of dogs on chains having a miserable life. He was on a chain, he had heart disease and terrible skin. He went to the pound, and in the pound we were about to euthanize him, but just couldn't, because they could tell he was special. So he came to us. We knew that his heart condition was terminal, so we gave him a bucket list, and we went about showing New Zealand how incredible this dog was on Facebook. So for about 3 years, New Zealand followed Reg. He went to a battery farm and rescued chickens. He rescued pigs. He raised goats. He raised orphaned puppies. He met Jane Goodall. He just did everything a dog could ever dream of doing. And sorry, his big thing in life was he taught so many people. So many people fell in love with Reg, and then through his stories learned about respecting animals and understanding that every animal matters. So incredible dog, I miss him dearly.
Yes, and of course, I was just showing the article written by Jackie, actually for Vegan FTA, about your organization. And let's just look what that says here, the Huha House of Love. And we see Reg with a pig. I watched another video where he was really nervous. I think it was a pony, and he was right there the whole time, like guiding the pony, I believe. Is that right? Like he was like the grandfather of all the animals, or the uncle.
Yeah, he really protected them. So the pony was an inbred pony, again, from a farm that I was bred, and it had congenital problems. So Reg would visit the pony at the big university hospital and sit with the pony and give it comfort. And they're right up until the end, they were very good friends. So very, very special dog. But you know what? A lot of the animals are special. They're just not given the chance to show that. So I think if everybody takes a moment to spend a little bit of time just really considering their animal, they'll find it's quite a remarkable friend.
Yeah, I remember reading, watching the video you had about the sheep that was blind, and you sent her away, and she made such a fuss. Was it she or he? I keep getting the genders mixed up here, but sorry about that.
Edelweiss, she's a girl. So
Edelweiss.
Because we always laugh and say we're helping you help animals, not helping us hoard animals. So we're constantly trying to rehome the animals we rehabilitate. That's what we do. But some of them, we do send them off to homes. And Edelweiss was a little blind lamb. We thought that a flat property would suit her better, so because we're on the hill. But no, she packed her weight, a bit wobbly, wouldn't settle, cried, carried on. When she was in our care, we didn't hear a peep from her. She was very content. So we decided to bring her home, and now she's, years later, still thumping around our hills. I mean, she's blind and she goes steps everywhere, but she loves it here, and so she's found her place. Animals will often tell you what they want and where they want to be, and it's really important to listen.
Yes, it's they will talk to you if you listen. People don't listen. I do have your one about special needs. Let's check
They
this out.
strive to avoid ever putting an animal down.
Come on, guys.
If they're terminal, they're not well, or if their behaviours are just so damaged, then we will hold them tight and let them go. We're not no kill, but we're really good at making it work for most animals. I always laugh and say, Huha stands for helping you help animals, not helping us hoard animals. So we do try and rehome, but here on this particular property, these animals often come with issues, medical issues or behaviour issues. All of our cattle are blind except for Dudley, who's our seeing eye cow. We've got three-legged goats and blind sheep as well.
Here we go. He's a good girl. Stop. Good girl. This is Edelweiss. 5 years ago, she came from a farm on Plateau Road. The farmer found her and discovered that she was blind and didn't know what to do. So she came here and we bottle fed her. And now she's just a big cuddly monster. She's found her feet and she knows where she is. She walks around, she knows the territory, and she has no problem. And she's loving life. Do you want to cuddle? Yes, thank you. Oh,
it just makes me so happy to see this. Jackie, tell us a little bit more about your work. And you know what? I would love to have you on another time, because I think it's great. Just like the sanctuaries can work together, I think us journalists from around the world can work together and share. And you have so much insight into, Australia, New Zealand, all the areas, probably many, many other areas I haven't talked to you about yet, but that's why I'd like to have you on the show so you can tell us all about you. But just tell us a little bit more. I know you were at the sanctuary. Tell us a little bit more about your experience there and why people should possibly donate or support this organization.
Oh, it's a very special place. It was wonderful just seeing that clip of Edelweiss before, because I think that was one of the most heartwarming moments that we spent at the sanctuary, that really, really showed just the connection and the sheer love that Carolyn has for her animals. You know, we went into the paddock, we met Edelweiss, we met Dora, a little blind cow as well. And yeah, the love that Edelweiss showed for Carolyn, and just they had this moment of connection, and Carolyn, they just put their faces together, and it was just, yeah. My husband, he's a filmmaker for Vegan FTA as well, and we were both sort of quite emotional watching it. And it's just, it really is, like the article said, it's a house of love. It is a place of pure love. And I just love how Carolyn takes everything in her stride. You know, she has the most enormous missions that she just kind of like, oh, well, you know, this is what happened, but we get on with it. You know, she's just so matter of fact, but just, there's just something that shines out of her, you know, that is just, you know, all of us at FTA, we just love what they do, and they just do everything so well. And I learned so much when I was there. Like I said, it was absolutely chaotic. We had little goats skipping around the house. I got the pleasure of being slobbered on by Reg, you know. I was so privileged to meet him, and Skippy, the little wee, it's their Skippy, the little wee pony. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful day. And this house, you know, I got led into a spare room where there were 50 rats that had been, they were ex-lab rats that Huha, you know, homes. And there, I found out that there is a waiting list for homes for these rats because they make such wonderful pets. And I got a bit emotional in that room because, you know, one of the team said, "Do you want to come and see the rats?" And I was like, not really, they're rats, you know, but to go in there and see them up close and hear about them being such wonderful companions and pets, it really...
I had a pet rat, but I had the same reaction you did at first. I rescued them out of a snake aquarium, and I had the same, but once I got to know what they're like, they are amazing. Yeah. It's so intelligent.
Definitely. And it really made me, you know, luckily the team member left the room because I got quite emotional actually being up close to these rats and thinking of what they were rescued from and what we humans do to animals. And like Carolyn said, all this stuff which is legal. We have this thing in New Zealand. I see all the time on Vegan FTA, you know, because obviously my husband and I we're half of the Vegan FTA team. And so we do cover a lot of what's happening in New Zealand. And everyone says, oh, New Zealand is so wonderful because we recognize all animals as sentient. It actually means nothing. Sorry, people, it means nothing. It is just words. It changes nothing for the animals. And so to come to Carolyn and see that they are rescuing these batches of 50 lab rats at a time because our universities are breeding and doing dreadful things to animal testing, not just rats, but to cows and fish. You know, it's not just a place of love, it's a place of learning as well, which is what Carolyn's trying to achieve with this new sanctuary.
Absolutely. And Carolyn, I just wanted to bring up a couple more things. I mean, there's so much more to cover about your organization, but the community work that it just, the community gets involved. Let's watch this clip about that.
To go to another country, it was a massive undertaking and we didn't know what we were going to be walking into. I mean, we affected so many lives and we saved so many lives and we've left our Kiwi mark on everything.
They've gone from small beginnings to a big future, with committed staff and a ready army of 80 volunteers.
Jim and I talked about it very early on. We could have just been Mr. and Mrs. Animal Sanctuary pottering around on our own land with what we could cope with. We decided early on that we needed to bring in the community and make it something that everyone got involved with.
It got me out of my comfort zone. I just loved every minute of it, basically. Yeah, no, it's wonderful.
Carolyn, you were saying it takes a certain kind of man to do this, and it seems like you've got the right man. But, you know, we just saw there's so many people walking the dogs and getting involved, and wow, that is such a great concept, because if we could spread this concept around and have this in more areas, all the help, you know, that's there, people would probably love to do this. The awareness isn't there about the opportunities. Take your kids, walk some animals, meet some farm animals.
I get really emotional because you see the elderly come who perhaps can't have their own pet but want to remember and want to have that connection still. And then we get children again who perhaps their parents have said no, or let's see how you go with walking at a sanctuary. And then if you connect and if you put the time in, then maybe we'll get you your own pet. But and then as a place where people connect as well, we decided that when we bring in volunteers and staff, we don't just choose vegans. A lot of charities that are vegan will only have vegans around them. So for us, we bring in everybody. And it's quite lovely because you see them, they come in and they're there for the animals, they care about them their way. And quite often, second someone offers them something vegan to eat, or you bring up veganism, they get that sort of closed off sort of vibe to them. But the more they come and the more they spend time, and the less you push them that way, the more they work it out for themselves. You start showing them the animals and telling them the stories. So I think we've been doing this for 20 years now, and I think a lot of people have become vegan just through hearing the stories of the animals that we care for, but then having their own personal relationship with that animal. So we always say everyone's on a journey, and so anyone can walk in our door from any background and we welcome them. And then it's just a beautiful thing watching them slowly have that penny dropping moment.
Yes. And so, and I'm sure you convert a lot of people to veganism by just having the opportunity to have the experience with the animals, certainly not the kind you find in zoos, because that's not their natural environment, and for so many reasons. And so the whole idea of supporting sanctuaries, and particularly you are doing not just sanctuary work, but that's wonderful. That's so needed. And I praise the people are doing, but you're also doing outreach to other sanctuaries, other groups that are animal welfare groups, and helping them. You've got the model of building out all of these different locations as well as the clinic. You have so much to offer, Carolyn, and I'm so pleased that you were on the show. We have just a few more minutes left. So anything either of you would like to, I'll let Jackie go first, anything you'd like to have our audience know before we go today?
Definitely. Well, one of the reasons, the big reason of why, really wanted to get Carolyn on the show was to showcase her work, which, thank you so much for doing. But the rescues that Huha have done have come at a huge cost to Huha. I'm sure Carolyn will fill you in about that. But, the cow rescue in particular, rescuing and rehoming a herd of cows that is, to homes where they can live out their lives forever safely and be transported all over the country, that has incurred costs of tens of thousands of dollars. I'm sure Carolyn can tell us the actual amount. And, that is a huge thing. We really, really need people to help with that and help. That was a massive, massive year for Huha. So anyone that would like to donate, even like Carolyn said, even just a few dollars really, really adds up, and that would help so much.
Thank you. And Carolyn, why don't you wrap it up for us today? Actually, I think I have one more clip, and it's kind of and I'll have you wrap it up. We have one more.
To go to another country, it was a massive undertaking, and we didn't know what we were going to be walking into. I mean, we affected so many lives, and we saved so many lives, and we've left our Kiwi mark on everything.
They've gone from small beginnings to a big future, with committed staff and a ready army of 80 volunteers.
Jim and I talked about it very early on. We could have just...
I think we already played that clip, but I let it go for a little bit because I figured it was worth repeating the message that you guys are doing just amazing, amazing work. So thank you both for being here today. I would love to have you both back individually or together or however it works out. But I would love to have an update, Carolyn, on your wonderful progress in the future. And anytime we can help. Again, folks, share out this video. Please donate if you can. This is a very worthy organization. And spread the word. By spreading the word, it's amazing. Even going to the websites and making comments and getting them, more visibility on social media, all of that helps. So thank you again so much for being here, ladies.
Thank you so much. It's been great to be here.
Okay, folks. We're going to say goodbye now, folks, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.